Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, I want to give you an update on the T08 Pro and how it's been handling, how it's been driving and what kind of results we're getting with it. Pretty much built straight as it comes out box before we put any additions to it or anything like that or any op-ups. So, let's bring you in for a close-up look at car and I'll run you through some of the results what we've had with it. So, as you can see, it's seen a fair bit of action. We've got quite a few scuffs and scrapes on the body shell. So one thing I can say is for the price what these body shells are, and I've had a link to them in the description of the video for it, but I'll pop another link in. For a racing shell, I mean, they look accurate enough, they look realistic enough, and they can pretty much take some stick. As you can see, the tyres have done a lot of work as well. We got little bits of tyre and track stuck absolutely everywhere, and you can see where it's just been catching on the front. The actual RC, I've not had a chance to clean this down from the last race. The only thing, and you will see this in results, it was running absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, in the last qualifier, right on the last lap, a car spun in front of me. It flipped the car straight over the barrier and off the track completely. One at Marshall's quickly come and put it back on, so I did qualify brilliant on the third qualifier, but I didn't realise that it had almost ripped this little screw out on the tie rod on back. So when I started the final, I got about few laps in and it got bumped on back wheel and that come out, so I had to quickly stop, strip the car, get that put back in and get back on track. So I didn't do very well in the actual last final. The tyres, can't fault them at all, seem to be wearing nice and even. The suspension setup feels absolutely brilliant. The 9i mod servo is absolutely amazing. Really can't fault that. It's extremely quick. I've not had to play around with anything else on the actual settings. This front bumper works brilliant with that body shell. It sits really close to it. I've dropped one of the Tamiya heat sinks on off of one of other cars just to keep the motor temps down a little bit. And I did go up slightly in gearing for this track because it's a slightly longer track. Nothing else has been changed, and as you can see, it needs a good clean. I think, unfortunately, the track where I was running this are now changing the rules yet again. And I don't think we'll be able to run these now. So, whether or not I'll find a different track to run at, to be honest, from what I'm hearing from quite a few people, there's a few people getting a bit fed up of the rules changing, and I perfectly understand it. For me, I don't really mind because I just love collecting cars, so I'm going to buy these cars anyway, whether I can run them there or not. But I can understand some other guys. It can get quite expensive if you keep buying cars for different tracks, so I do appreciate that. I do get that. But likewise, I quite like running the Tamiya TA08 plastic tub chassis class anyway. And I'm also building a load of different touring cars, so I would like to start running in the touring car classes as well. So for me, it doesn't really matter, and there is other tracks that I can run this at, so as we put more mods on it, I can give you some useful feedback and tell you if the mods actually make it quicker or if they make it handle better or worse. But running through the actual qualifying, so I'll put these up on screen, make it easier for you to follow. So the first qualifying, it handled really, really nice. You could definitely tell that it weren't geared high enough for this long track, but it did do quite well. I was just getting to grips with handling. Second qualifying, I think it improved it a bit when I upped the gearing. And then the third qualifying, really getting to grips with it. So when we come to the final, we'd got the gearing right on it, I'd got it pretty much dialed in, and I were feeling a lot more confident with it. So we won the first outing with it, the first final, actually won that. So yeah, very impressed with it. Second outing what I went, the first qualifier we did really well. Second qualifier again did really well. Third qualifier did really well, but got hit off the track on the third qualifier on the last lap. And then unfortunately, because the little screw come undone on the rear tie bar, we didn't get many laps in on the actual final. But the lap times of it, I am really impressed with. Bearing in mind this class had a restriction of £300 for the chassis. So that also meant that I was running against some SNRC touring cars, some X-ray chassis, and I think there were some 3 racing chassis. They weren't all Tamiya kits. So to say this stock plastic chassis Tamiya kit was definitely capable of winning a final, which we did, and putting lap times in that were on par or better than some of the actual touring cars. Bearing in mind we're all running stock brushed 20-turn motors. So yeah, the actual capabilities of this car, I have no doubt whatsoever. It handles amazing, it's predictable, and it's very easy to set up. So yeah, the Tamiya TA08 Pro, I would say, is an absolute cracking chassis for running in a Tamiya class if it's allowed. And it could probably hold its own against, depend on the skill level and depend on the level of the touring car. But it could probably, with the right driver, hold its own in a touring car class. As I said, that would depend on what level of touring cars. If you're going against the latest sort of Iris 1, the is it X4? XT4? X-Ray? I'm not sure how they named the touring car version. Or the Automatics. If you're going up against them, yeah, it's not going to compete. But the older style touring cars or the cheaper chassis touring cars, depending on driver, yeah, it can hold its own against them. But that's just a nice update, tell you how this chassis handled and give you some ideas of the actual lap times and everything, so you can see where we're actually at with it. But let's wrap this one up. So yeah, there you have it, the TA08 Pro. And as you can tell, I really, really like this RC. It's predictable, you can do the same lap after lap after lap. You know exactly how it's going to behave. And I mean, this body shell, it just works with this car. Especially my little bodge of a Mon-Fri rear wing. But yeah, hopefully I would like to be able to get more running videos of the race. Now, I've got a little action camera, but it depends if we're allowed to use them at the actual tracks. Some of the racers at some of the tracks, they do record, which is useful. I can put links to their videos and that, but at least I managed to get you the actual lap times and everything so you can see what it's actually doing. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.